Okay, this is some bacon I also diced up, just like 3 or 4 slices of bacon and some garlic. And then these are the rest, just so you can see how finely diced we got those. And yeah, let's go make some bolognese. Okay, so this is the meat that I'm gonna use for the bolognese. This is some ground beef that my great uncle raised. It's grass-fed, organic, and then also some elk that my dad hunted and shot. So I've got some pretty good meat options for this. You can add ground pork if you want. You can add, pretty much anything in the ground meat spectrum that's not like heavily seasoned. And I'm also gonna have some of that bacon in there. So what you wanna do though is make these into little meatballs and brown them in a heavy bottom, like cast iron type situation like this is what we're gonna cook the rest of the meal in. And if you do them in balls, it allows the moisture to escape around the edges and give you some browning spots on there, like a Maillard effect. So yeah, I'll show you how that works here in just a sec. Okay, so all you have to do is get them into kind of chunks like that, into just big balls, and then we'll throw them in the pan. All right, so we've got our chunks. We're just gonna put these in here and kind of cook them like a hamburger. You just wanna sear them. They don't have to cook all the way through. Like, all you really wanna do is just get color on them. Don't crowd it up. We'll do a couple different batches of these. There we go. Now when you start seeing color in the bottom like that, that means you're in Flavor Town. Now you can see that it's gotten some nice color to it. Ooh yeah, it's hot in there. Yeah, you just want to let those get a sear on the other side, and then we're going to take them out and do the rest of this, and we'll come back. Okay, as you can probably see from all the way up there, we've got a lot of browning and color going on after all that beef. So now I'm going to put some bacon in there, and that's going to be also thrown into the bowl with some meat in it there. So just going to cook this until it browns up. Okay, so now you can really see how we've got a bunch of color in the bottom of the pan. This bacon is pretty much done, so I'm going to take it on out. Okay, so since you've got all these drippings and oil from the bacon and from browning all that beef in this pan, we're going to take some onions and drop them right in there. And as those start to cook, they'll start releasing some of this stuff on the bottom. So you just want to get those cooking for a minute. Alright, so I'm going to add some garlic. Some people don't add garlic to bolognese. I like to do it. I think it tastes good. You do whatever you want. You can see the fond is starting to come off of the bottom now, and you're getting a lot of that brown kind of crust from the meat that's coming up off the bottom and into the vegetables as they kind of steam out. So you're just gonna let that cook for a second, and then you want to go ahead and add celery. You're gonna add carrots. Okay, so after they've gotten a good amount of color on them, they're gonna look, everything's gonna be broken down. There's gonna be some brownness to it. It's gonna be pretty soft. You want it to be very well broken down. So then what you're gonna do is get some tomato paste. You get like a solid teaspoon, a good amount there. Maybe a little bit more, because this is going to be the only tomato product that goes into this bolognese. Like, I know people think about they think about spaghetti sauce and tomato sauces and stuff like that, but this is really, it's almost more of a roast in a bowl, which is very interesting. But you want to cook this tomato sauce in with the vegetables. If you don't cook tomato paste, I'm sorry. If you don't cook tomato paste, it has like a metallic taste, sort of. And when you cook it for a minute, you sort of work that out. So, you're gonna let that go for just a second. Let it really get incorporated. The next thing we're gonna do is take some white wine, and you can use red wine for this if you want, but I really like to use a white wine. Sorry about that vent fan. I really like to use a white wine because white wines are just, it's gonna be like a gentler flavor, and I think probably about a half a cup to start with here. You just wanna let that kind of reduce. And you know, I think probably maybe more like about 3/4 of a cup. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna take our meat that we cooked previously and add that back in. We're gonna take this bacon and add that back in. You just want to break this up a little bit. You kind of made meatballs, now just kind of roughly chop them.
And then give it a good stir.
So now, you can add chicken stock. And you want to use chicken stock, again, just like you wanted to use white wine, because it's just there's so much flavor going on in this that if you make it just a little bit more delicate, it actually is pretty nice. So, take the chicken stock. I like to go, just barely cover this, you know, just kind of stir it around. You want it to just kind of barely cover the top. It'll probably take about a whole one of these, or about 3/4 of one probably. All right, now I want to add 1 bay leaf. Actually, this is a pretty good pot, so let's go ahead and do 2 bay leaves. I'm gonna season with salt, pretty liberal amount. Gonna do some red pepper flake, just a little bit. You don't want to do much, just kind of a couple dashes, like literally just enough to kind of sprinkle on the top to give it some flavor. And then I have one little secret that I like to do, which is if you go to the grocery store, they'll have Parmesan rinds, and they're so cheap. I mean, these are $1.38, and you just take one of these Parmesan rinds and you just tuck it in there, and that's going to give you some Parmesan flavor. Now you can see kind of after this settled a little bit, you may want to add just a little more, because it's gonna cook down. We're gonna leave this uncovered for probably 3 hours, but you really want to get it at a low bubble. Okay, so now you can see at this point, everything is kind of broken down and it's still just gently bubbling. Now what we're gonna do is add the secret weapon. And yes, this is authentic Italian cuisine. Whole milk. You wanna do just like a good little splash, you know? Maybe like 1/4 of a cup, something like that. And this is gonna be for maybe like the last, probably 30 minutes or so of cooking. And it's just gonna make it really silky, velvety. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so we are using a pappardelle noodle. You could use a tagliatelle. And one of the things that we're gonna do is we're going to boil them in this water till they're slightly al dente. Follow the directions on the package, but maybe take off, this is like 4 minutes, so I'm gonna go like 3 minutes until they're, well, maybe 4 minutes. We'll just see how they're looking. But we're gonna take them out of this boiling water, put them into this pan with just a little bit of the pasta water, which is gonna have starches in it. It'll help thicken it up. And also we'll cook it in our sauce. So it's gonna, the whole thing will kind of come together at once, and it's really important. So I'll set this up, and in just a second I will show you how to plate this whole thing, and then we'll enjoy some pasta. Woo! So I've got noodles on the boil here. I've got my pan here is heated up just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do right now is take a little bit of our sauce, the Bolognese, and put it in here. Yeah. You want that to be pretty hot. You want that to basically be cooking out and reducing. You know, you want it to basically be just meat in there. So we're gonna take this pasta, throw it in here like such. I'm just gonna do this a little bit. So you're gonna wanna stir this around and take a little bit of your water from the pasta and add that in there. And it's just going to, you want to finish cooking the noodles in the sauce so that they absorb some of it. And cooking them in the pasta water is actually going to help thicken everything up and have it all kind of come together. Another thing you're going to do to help this process is put some Parmesan cheese. Finally grate some Parmesan cheese in there. So we're going to add more later, but you're going to do this just to kind of emulsify everything and get everything to kind of congeal into one element. That's kind of your goal, is now that you've cooked everything for a long time, you want everything to kind of cook together into a consistency, like a smooth consistency. You want all the flavors to be incorporated. All right, so just gonna let that cook for a second, and then we'll plate it up. I've let this cook down. Everything's looking nice and incorporated. The noodles have cooked into the sauce. And now we're just gonna go and plate this up. So I got myself a nice bowl here. If you're plating pasta, a trick, you can take you a big scoopful. You want to just make it a little bit taller than it normally would be. So lift it up a little. Repeat that process. Just make yourself a nice little bowl of noodles there. And you're gonna take that. You wanna get some of that extra sauce on it. Yeah, that's what you're gonna want. All that goodness on there. Okay, so in order to finish this off, I'm gonna grate some Parmesan cheese. Okay, I'm back. I shaved a bunch of Parmesan cheese on top of it with my microplaner, and I threw a little basil on it. So now, let's go try it out and see what it's like. This is a meal that you're really gonna want to sit down for. Well, if you're still watching at this point, then you are committed to the idea of making yourself Italian Bolognese, legit Italian Bolognese. All I can say is that during this coronavirus time, this is a time to dress up and get fancy and act like you're going to a restaurant. Make yourself some wonderful restaurant quality Italian pasta Bolognese. Get yourself a nice glass of wine. This is gonna take you literally all day. I don't know if you can notice, but when I first started, it was daylight. It is now like 9:30 and I'm just now getting to the fruits of my labor, but this is a slow dish. It's a slow food. This is coronavirus food. This will last you forever. Freeze it. Make lasagna later. It's perfect for that. So let's try it, right? Let's see how it did. All right. I don't have any guests because I don't think I should anymore. I think it's probably past that time. Cheers. Let's see what's up. Yeah, that's really good. I can't recommend that enough. You're gonna want to make that. Remember, I didn't make a mistake. There's no tomatoes besides tomato paste in this. So, enjoy. Tell me what you think in the comments. Try it out. Dress up. Be good to yourselves.